Let's continue this conversation with the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development. And of course, it's critical in the fight against gender-based violence and femicide. Now, the department as well will be holding the National Conference on the Constitution later this month. Let's speak now to Constitutional Development Acting DDG Lloyd Lotz, who joins us on the line now. Thank you so much, Advocate, for your time. And I guess, let's just begin with what we've just spoken to some of the activists about before we get into the conversation for later on this month. There's a call that some of the laws that are being put in place and amended are not really helping with, ending this particular scourge of gender-based violence, and activists saying there's a disconnect between the implementation and, what they're also seeing on the ground. How do you begin to bridge this gap as a department?
Well, I think firstly, it's quite an important issue to flag that the issue of GBV is a very serious one that we continuously, as a department, are working towards ensuring that the laws are implemented and that the laws are practical. So it is also a journey that we are taking, not only as a department alone, but together with civil society, together with relevant stakeholders. So it's something that we are continuously going to be working on. And of course, it's not a once-off event, but it's something that we just have to, actively work on all the time.
And I wonder if it'll feature then when you are taking stock of where we come as a country with the Constitution later this month.
Yes, no, absolutely. It is going to feature. I mean, this is a very significant, conference. In the year 2022, it really marked a significant milestone in that on the 4th of February, we are celebrating the 25th anniversary of the coming into effect of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. And of course, the department, as you would be aware, is also seized with the mandate to promote and advance constitutionalism, the rule of law, and the respect for human rights, including freedoms. So every law that actually falls within that realm is something that we as a department are quite working hard on. And of course, it falls within our mandate to ensure that we promote this constitution. And everything flows from the constitution, as we have the so-called principle of constitutional supremacy in South Africa. So it's quite a significant conference that we are going to be hosting.
And especially because, with gender-based violence, there's a lot of, people that complain that more and more voices need to be amplified. But another issue that I see that you're covering, especially during this particular conference, which is also critical, is the voice of the voters and how they begin then to understand their participation and some of the apathy challenges.
Yes, no, absolutely. We really took an approach of really, having a holistic look at some of the very key issues that are actually facing this particular country of ours. And of course, the issue of voter participation, the issue of electoral reform and the like, does feature quite significantly, especially with the laws that are currently being looked at as being amended. So also, I think in our view, because we hold a view as a department that it's quite important also that when we conduct our human rights education, democracy and human rights education, that the issue of voter education always features there, because it is, of course, one of the rights which is protected within the Constitution. So whenever there's opportunities for voting, whether it's at the national, whether it's your provincial and local, but also in terms of the other vote, because there's continuous voting all the time in terms of by-elections and so on, that citizens, play their part and they actually participate. And that participation is quite significant.
And how then do you also begin to add this then to the conversation? Because, when you look at some of the issues that South Africans are facing, they're beginning to question whether or not the Constitution is in fact serving them. And some saying that it may not be the document that should be glorified as much as, some are making it out to be and calling it the best in the world.
Well, look, I think we're not a perfect society. We are also facing, a myriad of challenges. But at the same time, we've seen some significant advances. We've seen some, many cases going before the courts, where the courts have been pronouncing, and I mean the judiciary as one of the branches of the government. It shows that it's working. It shows that, we still have space where the rule of law within our country is being respected. Of course, with the challenges, I mean, that's what the conference is going to be doing as well. We are going to be reflecting on the Constitution. So we're going to be looking back in terms of where do we come from in the past 25, 26 years? Where are we at now? What challenges are we facing? What sort of milestones have we achieved? Because in the midst of the challenges, we also have some significant milestones as a country. And how do we also then look at the road ahead? What is it that, as a department, together with all the stakeholders, with society, civil society, government, broadly, what is it that we need to do? And we need to continuously be reflecting. So this is not going to be just a once-off event, but we need to continuously reflect so that we, the situation or the issue that we are dealing with can be made better and better. And of course, I think when just to answer your question directly, in as far as where people may feel that this is, it's not the writing that it's written on as a book. I think that, with the principle of constitutional supremacy, I think there was a lot of wisdom as well in terms of those that drafted, those that drafted the Constitution. Because if you go to our, the values of what this Constitution stands for, yes, it's hailed as a very significant Constitution, it's quite progressive, but of course there are the challenges, as I mentioned. But I think it's an important principle and issue to identify and highlight, that it is supreme law, and also we've seen how people have been exercising their rights, protecting their rights, being vindicated in the courts and in other forums as well.
And of course, you talk about the road ahead, which is very important. Let me thank you for your time. We do appreciate it. That was the Constitutional Development Acting DDG, Lloyd Lotz. Thank you so much for your time.